Welcome back, folks, to the final. I mean, this is the final one, right? We're talking national championship, 1AA parlays on the FCS Fans Nation Network. I'm your host, Colby Peterson. With me, as always, the one, the only, Montana Parlay. Parlay, excited, ready for this weekend down in Nashville?
It's starting to set in. You know, with the holidays, I got a lot of stuff going on. I might be a homeowner here pretty soon. So a lot of stuff is going on with me. So as far as the Cat fandom goes, it was a heck of a time. How long ago was that? 2 weeks ago? We'll get into more of that later, but it is hitting me right now. It hit me yesterday. I didn't sleep much the last 2 nights. It's hit me. I'm excited. This is I can't believe it, the 3rd national title appearance in 5 years for the Bobcats, but first time in Nashville, obviously first time being favored by this much. I don't want to think about last year. But yeah, there's an excitement. There's a nervousness. There's an excitement. It's going to be a lot of fun, bottom line. And I get in this afternoon at 3:30 to Nashville, and the game isn't till 6:30 Central, which that was interesting to me. I just was talking to my mother. I told her teaches piano. I said, Mom, you got to cancel your piano lesson. She's like, the kids don't care. I'm like, well, the parents driving them to their lesson probably care. So, Mom, reschedule those piano lessons. We got to let people watch the Bobcats because the game starts at 5:30 Mountain Time, unless I misread something.
That's how the math works.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I like it better, honestly, but it is a little weird. But hey, we're the FCS. We're used to weird times, right? Anywhere from 10 a.m. Mountain Time on a Saturday to, a Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon during NFL season to now Monday night, which I think TV-wise is the best slot, and it's a good slot for people like me, though, who doesn't have a real job, aka sales. But, for a lot of people, it's a tough time to go out and support the team in person. But so that's, as I rant and rave and remind myself and you that I have a hard stop in 40 minutes, just under 40 minutes. Literally, when my alarm goes off, I'm going to have to just turn off the computer because I'm not packed right now. And my flight leaves in 1:30, in a couple hours. So, yeah, going to have a hard stop before that, long before that. How many people do you think show up? You know that stadium a little bit. Didn't you live in the Nashville area?
That's right. Yeah, we did for like 3 years. And so newly renovated stadium. I think for the folks pulling up there, they're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be definitely a different feel from Frisco, where you're playing in a soccer stadium. I mean, this is a football stadium. This is where Vandy plays their games, and they've put some money into it recently. And so I think folks are gonna enjoy it. They're gonna have a good time. Nashville is the kind of place that enjoys having folks come. I mean, Vandy was pretty good the last couple of seasons, but before that, most SEC fan bases would definitely book the Vandy game, not necessarily because they cared so much about the game, because it gave them opportunity to go to Nashville and enjoy downtown and all of the good things that go with that, and then go watch their team usually beat Vanderbilt up the hill. Obviously, that's changed, Diego Pavia and everybody, but I think folks are going to have a good time. Nashville's it's a good town with a lot of hospitality, a lot of folks coming and going there. You're probably going to see a lot of bridal showers. There's always a lot of bachelorette parties. We call them woo girls in downtown Nashville. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a work call. My office is downtown, right? And so we're downtown on Demonbrian, and you hear it. You got loud country music blaring and a bunch of girls going woo. So if you can, take advantage of those, because you can get these little. They got the pedal pubs up the hill if you're close to downtown, and they also have those. You could like rent a tractor. Dude just drives a tractor around downtown and plays music, and then you get drinks, and it's It's a whole thing. So Nashville is a very hospitable town. There's a lot for folks to like, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the stadium as well because, like I said, newly renovated. Vanderbilt's put a lot of money into it, and I think it's going to be good to be in a football stadium, which hasn't been the case for a few years.
I think so too. It'll be interesting. The whole like Bobcats third title in 5 years. There's the Monday night thing. Not third title, third appearance. Okay, don't come after me now. Illinois State's close, but do their fans? But from what I'm hearing, the buzz I'm hearing is Illinois State fans are like a little brother version of South Dakota State fans, where in a much different way. Basically, what I'm saying is South Dakota State fans haven't shown up in the playoffs, but they show up for the Natty. They absolutely show up.
They did.
Illinois State fans, there's some buzz that it might be similar, that they might be coming out of the woodwork. They supposedly traveled pretty well to Frisco back when Carson Wentz pulled off his miraculous comeback against the Redbirds. So I'm really interested. I think I've been floating out an over-under of 25% in the stadium Redbirds, and I might be offending Illinois State. I might be over or underestimating on both sides. I honestly have no clue. I have no clue. Haven't done any deep dives or anything. It's just completely pulling that number out of somewhere else. All right. Charity. Let's look at that real quick. We did a little fundraiser for the food banks in Bozeman and Missoula. Got a little bit of interaction online. Some of the Grizz fans didn't like how I approached things, but you know what? I'm giving money to your community or helping other people give money. Like, you guys were pretty cocky that you were going to win the game. Couldn't you, show a little love online, a little love to the people in your community? Either way, we got some work done. There were some generous Grizz fans who did donate. All in all, we had a couple $100 from fans out there who gave directly. I don't know the exact number, but because of the way I set things up with the posts and the gifts and all that, I ended up giving $248 to the Gallatin Valley Food Bank and $123 to the Missoula Food Bank. Now, if I would have followed the rules, it would end up being less than 100 for Missoula and less than 200 for Bozeman. But I just thought I should round up to 248 and 123. I don't know how I came up with those numbers, but I'll go again, post the links, because again, this time of year, it's good if you're able to give back. And I think those are two great organizations to give to. What should we cover first on the quick summaries, if that's possible with my rapid talking, tangent speaking mouth? Who should we go with first on the semifinals? The Redbird Nova game or Cat-Griz 2.0?
Yeah, let's start with, like you said, Redbird Nova, because I think that obviously you were in the building for Cat-Griz 2.0, and so there's going to be a lot more there for you to talk about. But just briefly, we could talk about Illinois State and Villanova, kind of how that one went. Like you said in the notes, first time losing a pick in this postseason, going with Nova in that one, and it didn't work out, but that's okay, because the Redbirds have been road warriors in these playoffs.
We'll see if it's okay. I don't know if the Redbirds put Montana Parlay up on the billboard, picking no. Yeah, as if my picks are going to motivate them any more or less to win a national championship. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just misread it in a couple of ways. Maybe it's because I thought Tarleton was better than they were, because Villanova looks so good so balanced on both sides of the ball, on passing and rushing the ball against at Tarleton, to come home against a team that has gone from Louisiana to Fargo to Davis, back across to Philly. Because, a very, very good South Dakota State team did the same thing not too long ago and just hit a wall when they came to Bozeman. So I thought, then it comes down to the bet I did win. It was, will there be more people at the R Bar after the game than are in the stadium for Nova ISU? And I think there was, because that's Nova, they're a basketball school, but maybe if you get more than 350 fans, it was probably, 3,000, but maybe if you pack your stadium and put in some noise, you get those boys that are those young men that are tired to make some mistakes, because the Redbirds came in after circumnavigating the United States, and beat the ever-living piss out of Nova. They just dominated them. Final score 30-14. That's embarrassing, Nova. Embarrassing.
21-6 at the half. Official attendance listed at 4,133.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked thin in a high school type stadium, so that sounds like a stretch to me. But anyway, I don't know what else there is to say about that game. These Rittenhouse stats are interesting. He keeps winning. He's a baller, but 18 for 38. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 18 for 38, 251 yards through the air. I think that it gets papered over because of the rushing, right? Like you have, Rittenhouse seems to have this ability to overcome mistakes, right? There was one interception in that work, but overall, it seems like the run game has really kind of made a big difference for the Redbirds, and we'll see if that can continue in Nashville, right? But yeah, like you said, Rittenhouse, 18 for 38, not the best completion percentage, but still 250 yards passing through the air. That was more than what Nova was able to achieve on the other side. And so they get it done. And I think that that matters. The game was basically never in doubt.
Yeah, I knew the Parlays picks was done early in the second quarter. It was just obvious. And you're right about the rushing game. I think I kind of alluded to it maybe in the last pod, is that, Dawson, he was not the starter at the beginning of the year, or even maybe the middle of the year. At most he was part of a two-headed monster. And now after the injury to the other back, he's been just crushing. He's been a workhorse, the old school running back of 30 plus carries, 150 plus yards each and every game. And that positives and negatives, and that we'll get into that in the game preview with the actual natty itself. But sometimes it just takes, it's like the two quarterback systems, obviously where it happens the most, but sometimes it can happen in running backs where on paper it sounds great when you got two guys who can do this and this, but sometimes you just need the one dude to step up and just take over. And that's kind of, I think, was what's happened with Victor Dawson and the Redbirds.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, the only other person to really carry the ball was Rittenhouse, and those are quarterback scrambles, right? So 34 carries for 154 yards, a touchdown, averaging 4.5 a carry, which that's a nice number. If you hand the ball off to the same guy throughout the game and he's going to get you 4.5 on average, you can usually move the chains on that, right?
Absolutely. That's it. That's what it takes. 4 yards a carry. You get it. You got third and second every drive, and that puts the defense on their heels, and you control the clock. So that's a rest, along with a great line and a savvy QB, whether he's 18 for 38 or 20 for 42. If you have a savvy QB who can come through in the big moments like he did against the Bison, anything can happen. 11-point, 10-point, 12-point spread, it doesn't matter. They've got the recipe to win big ball games.
Yeah, they've already proven it in this postseason, right? That they are equipped and able to overcome those mistakes. Like you said, Rittenhouse, 5 interceptions in that Bison game. Overcame it. Were able to get a win in Fargo, second round, which is saying something.
So speaking of big games, there was one in Bozeman that I happened to be at. Thank goodness for good friends and people with season tickets, because it was a tough ticket to get. We already went over that. Don't need to talk about that again. But that game, I could talk all day on it. Let's get your thoughts real quick on what you saw from the TV side of things.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, we talked about it it wasn't last week, but a couple of weeks ago, the last time we did a show, that this game was going to be sold out, that Cat fans were going to be very much looking forward to having 2.0 in their building. And so I think that, I mean, you were there. You saw the score. The Cats came to play. I mean, we obviously, when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, we thought that it was going to be much closer because the last game was so close on the road in Missoula for the Cats, and that we were in for another instant classic, right? That this was going to be high stakes because this is a semifinal game. The first time these two teams, these in-state rivals, one of the best rivalries in college football, faced each other in the playoffs, and it's not exactly how things went, Parlay. Yeah, the Cats took full advantage, I think, of playing this game in Bobcat Stadium, right? Like, that mattered, I think, a whole bunch. But you were there. Talk to me about how it looked from the stands, because, man, fans seemed excited.
Yeah, it was quite the environment. And to the thinking it was going to be close, some people can point the reverse jinx finger at me. That's fine. It's hard to pick games on a Tuesday. It is hard. There's a lot of unknowns, so as the week progressed, I started to get more and more confident. Ask Hot Take Nate. There's a couple other friends that people wouldn't know through the FCS, community, but I was calling for a double-digit Bobcat win. And my thesis was that number one, it's at home. Number two, the Griz hadn't played in a tough environment. The toughest environment they played in was your good friends, the Stripes, at Idaho State. I think Sac didn't bring too many fans to their game, and that's outdoors. I don't think it gets too loud. I'm not saying that was an easy one, but nothing was even close to Bobcat Stadium.
Yeah.
And you can look at it from a Griz perspective and say they should have won the brawl. They could have. They easily could have.
They could have. They could have.
They also went at one point, I don't know what the final tally was, but late in the third quarter, they were 6 of 8 from third down, and one of those 2 times they got the fourth down. That would not happen in Bozeman. I knew it wouldn't. So in my mind, yes, the Griz could have easily have won the 1.0. But the reason it was so close is because it was at home and because they did so well on third downs. So obviously, at the end of the day, it's hindsight's 2020. All my bet, because Montana State ended up being at the top of my little FanDuel Spotify rap thing, and I haven't, outside of the last couple of weeks, I don't really bet on Montana State. But I do when I think it's the right play. I love the over too. That was the other thing. I love the over. The more I thought, I got early on the under 59.5. I hate to admit, but I more than made up for it once that thing started. I don't know why it was dropping. I think people looked at cold weather and storms in Montana, but
they thought
anyone who knows
nothing's happening.
Anyone who knows Montana football knows that Saturday was going to be perfect for points. So that was a great opportunity for folks. That atmosphere was amazing. The fans were on it. The Griz scripted drive, I didn't understand it. 3 drop back passes and a punt. Why did they do that? I don't know why they put Ayat in that position. I don't know why they wouldn't allow Gilman or Wortham to have the ball, guaranteed. And I mean, whether it's a run play, a pitch play, a reverse play, or a screen play. 3 drop back passes they put on Ayat when his back was to the loudest part of the stadium. Made no sense. And Bobby, buddy, I don't know if it's you scripting those plays, but you were right on one thing. You said, we're going to be Ohio State. You just had the wrong year. You just had the wrong year. You were Ohio State from this year, Bobby. This year.
Yeah.
You got blasted. So, yeah,
road playoff games are hard. What do you know?
Playoff games are hard. Road games are hard. You know, yeah, Grizz fans will say, oh, the fourth quarter. Well, you know what? If we wouldn't have fumbled it, if fourth quarter matters, it
big
matters.
Time.
Usually matters the most.
28 unanswered matters.
The other way to look at it, too, is if the Bobcats don't fumble in the second quarter before the Grizz went on their little run, that game could have been completely out of reach in the first half. So at the end of the day, we won, 48-23. You could say if this and if that and if that, but Bobcats won 2.0. Grizz were still a top 5 team in the FCS and had a great year.
Yeah.
But honestly, part of me wishes they would have seeded it differently, and it was Cat-Griz. Not saying that the Grizz are better than the Redbirds. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying from a Vanderbilt Stadium atmosphere standpoint, I think we would have sold it out.
Yeah, I mean, if it's those 2 fan bases going to Nashville, like, dude, good luck finding a flight out of Salt Lake.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have done for the
flights. Those flights are already probably packed, right? And now it's just like, oh my gosh, you want both fan bases pulling up to Nashville? Like, oh my goodness. But yeah, but you're right. That the second half really was the turning point, because early in that third quarter, the Grizz actually take the lead on a touchdown, and they go up 23-20, their first lead of the game. And so all of a sudden, if you're a Cat fan, it's like, oh no. But Cats respond with 28 unanswered, and that's the game, right?
Yeah.
And so,
sorry, were you gonna finish that there?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say people might knock Lamson on having just an okay performance. Only 13 of 19, 209 yards. Like, that's your quarterback, but it's like he didn't have to have this whiz bang performance, because Jones has 131 yards and 2 touchdowns on 16 carries. Taco Dowler, I mean, I don't think people talk about Taco Dowler enough, because the things that guy does for this Bobcats team, I think that they really, obviously 125 yards on 5 catches and a touchdown, that's big, but there are so many little things that guy does for this Bobcats team that just don't show up necessarily on the box score. Special teams and stuff like that just like, having a guy like that it's sort of like what the Grizz had with Wortham, right? Where it's like you just have a guy who's dangerous, just so dangerous in so many different ways for this team. But yeah, Lamson doesn't have to have this amazing game, because there are such good skill players around him that they can. All he's got to do is just manage, right? Just got to manage the game.
Yeah, and that's Lamson is just impressed me so much. And he's still got one more game, okay? The QB I want to just briefly talk about right now, who also impressed me for most of the year, is Ayat. I mean, a lot of people didn't believe in him. A lot of Grizz fans didn't believe in him. I don't know. I just didn't know enough about him. This year, he was damn impressive. Now, came into Bozeman, didn't look great, but that's not all his fault. Here's my prediction. I might not happen next year, but I think if he stays through his senior year, it's going to happen either next year or the year after, is he's going to be the next Cam Miller. And what I mean by that, okay. Now, yeah, Cam had an earlier championship, but that was with an NFL-laden roster, and that's not something I see I hope the Grizz don't have anytime soon. But, in the run where the Bison made it to the semis, when they had their down year and, lost in the semis, Cam did not play well in the playoffs. He did, especially at Bozeman and at Missoula. He had that one awesome drive in Missoula to force overtime, but otherwise he did not play well that year. Then the next year, he was a man on the mission. That's why I respect the hell out of Cam. He might be on one of the two teams that I do not like, but I think he's one of my favorite quarterbacks because of the season he had. I hate to say it because he beat us last year, but just the way he bounced back from those bad playoff performances on the road to come and lead his team. They should have beat Colorado in Colorado, and then to play a damn near perfect game against a favored Bobcat team in front of 70% Bobcat fans in Frisco. Like, I'm not saying Ayat's going to win a championship in the next 2 years, but give him a half decent line, and that kid is going to show even more than he showed this year, especially in big games on the road. That's my prediction for Ayat.
Yeah, big, like you said, big steps forward this season, because it looked very much at the beginning of the season like the Grizz are going to do what they usually have been doing, which is hit the portal, try and find a quarterback who has some experience. Ayat's still a young player. There's obviously the legacy component there, where his father played in Missoula, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, I think you're right. I think that he's going to continue to progress, and he's going to be a really good quarterback. And in the FCS, you're going to win a lot of games if your quarterback can game, right? We've seen that in recent years with Incarnate Word and what was it? I'm trying to remember. What is it? It was Holy Cross. That's who it was. Like, Holy Cross had a gamer, right? In the dude who went to UNLV, Sluka, right? And so just you're going to have a chance in the FCS if your quarterback can game. And so I think that you're right. I think that the Grizz if they stick with Ayat, if he chooses to stay in Missoula, which the legacy thing I think looms large, hearing about his father playing there, his whole life, all that good stuff, like that kind of thing I think has an impact. And so it probably means that he wants that for himself too. And so stay in Missoula and become a legend.
Absolutely. And, I think guys are seeing what happens, that the portal is not all rainbows and lollipops, and sometimes when life-changing money's thrown your way, like, you can't blame the guys, but the ones who are big-time gamers and have all the things you talked about with legacy and the fan base, a couple $100,000, as crazy it is, a couple $100,000 isn't worth it. It's just nuts to say out loud, but hey, everyone's got their own choices to make. And I think for him, it makes a lot of sense to stick it out in Missoula and continue to get better. So, all right, I've talked too much about the dang Grizz. 48-23.
Too many nice words.
48-23. That was awesome. And great job, Bobby, on predicting the Ohio State similarities. And let's see. We got the main event Monday night, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain on ESPN. Opened at 9.5. Is set. It's bounced, I think, as high as 12-ish. It's settled at 10.5. Over under 56.5. What are your thoughts on the opening line, where it's at now, and what is your pick?
Yeah, so I mean, if I had been watching closely and gotten it at 12.5, dude, I'm taking the Redbirds at 12.5, right? Like, I like the odds, the way that the Redbirds have played. This is technically another road game for them, right? Which seems to be where they're comfortable. So, but I would have taken that, right? I think I'd still consider 10.5, taking the Redbirds just the way that they've been. The Bobcats could definitely prove me wrong. This is going to be I think you're right. I think it's going to be a very favorable environment to them. I think a lot of Cat fans are going to show up to Nashville and be loud, and they're going to have a good time. So 10.5, I'd still think about it, right? But the over-under at 56.5, how do you like that one, Parlay? I kind of like the over because, I mean, we just talked about the fact that Rittenhouse has this ability to overcome mistakes, and I wonder if his luck runs out in this game, right? Because if that's the case, and there are a lot of picks, and he has a hard time overcoming them, finally that they do come back to bite him, I think that depresses that over under, right? But if he has advanced as a quarterback throughout these playoffs, playing in these tough environments, playing against tough teams, and is better at his decision making and his execution, and keeps those mistakes down, then I like the over, right? Because I think they're going to score points.
Yeah.
How do you see it?
I'm going to bookmark that over under for just a second. Illinois State was plus 650 last week to win it all. They were, even after they beat the Bison, I think they were plus 26. They were 26-1. So, hit me up on Twitter or wherever else you can get a hold of me if you are holding an Illinois State future, because that's great hedging opportunity. You got guaranteed money right now. All right, but no, man, you're talking about that over under. I have some thoughts on that for sure. Did you? I don't want to review the game, but did you watch Ole Miss Georgia?
Did. Yep.
Okay, so that was the only over out of yesterday's playoff games, and it went way, way over. Yeah. And early in the first quarter, there was some untimely turnovers. There was bad field position, similar to things that could happen with a guy like Rittenhouse or just anything with college football, obviously. In the first quarter, me and another friend who bet a lot, we both said the same thing. We were thinking about live betting the over, and we both chickened out. Now, I had over bets. I actually bet Ole Miss money line in the over for a tiny bit. My units aren't as big in FBS as they are FCS. But I just like the over. I like the over. We're going to transition into Parlays Bigs because there's only one game. All right. That's Parlay's final pick. I'm still 8-1.
Yep.
I've lost one, however many I've won. I think it's 8. So ride the hot hand, take the over, because I really believe at least one of the teams is getting to 35. And so if one of them gets to 35, I guess 35-21's and under, but that's about the lowest score that I can see. Now, if I bet the over and Bobcats win 38-17, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be upset at all. But I just think with Rittenhouse's ability to make plays or turn it over in a position where the Bobcats can score easily, you kind of got one way or the other. I think there's going to be a lot of points. And the reason I brought up Ole Miss and Georgia is could be a live betting opportunity. This is an ESPN game. Those in legal betting states with FanDuel and all those, you can follow that. Now, manage your money. Don't bet more than you can handle. It's entertainment. It's not investing. If this game starts slow or there's bad field position early, look at those live bets. Look at those live overs. Sometimes that's the best value. Bottom line, though, Parlay's pick is over 56.5 in the game. And that way, I have to give my pick on the spread, but I don't really want to bet. Here's bottom line. I'd bet, if I have to bet, I'm betting MSU if I can get them less than 10, Illinois State over 10. And let's see, should I give you the pick first or should I go first? What should we do here on the spread?
So I think one thing also to note is that Tennessee's a sportsbook state. So if you forget to set your picks before you get to town, don't worry. You can still do it in Nashville without any problem on your phone. When it comes to the picks, other thing I want to, in regards to the over, Illinois State has not scored less than 21 points in this playoff run, but worth noting that their last regular season game at home against SIU, just 7 points. They got blown out 37-7, so it looked like they were limping into the playoffs, and they've gone on this fantastic run, so that sort of leaves folks to think about, like, are they going to continue this run? Because if they score at least 20, and like you said, somebody gets to 35, dude, that over's a lock, right? Like, and I'm with you. I like the over. But when it comes to the spread, man, I mean, like I said, obviously, Illinois State's closest game was against NDSU in Fargo, winning that one 29-28. But every other game, they've won by double digits. And so that makes me like plus 10.5, even though the Bobcats may end up becoming national champions on Monday night. Redbirds, it seems like even in those close games, can keep it close. And so I'm going to bet them to do that.
You make great points, especially the part about being able to bet in Tennessee. That's my only option because Illinois doesn't allow you to bet on colleges from Illinois. So I have to make my bets when I land in Nashville, and I'm going to have a much better feel, even though over under, if some crazy windstorm comes in or something, be careful. Don't bet more than is for fun, but pay attention to the weather a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you on the 10.5. I'll have a much better feel for it Sunday, maybe Monday morning. But right now, looking at this playoff run, 10.5 is a little too much. I think that the advanced stats and the bookkeeper, bankers, odds makers are undervaluing Illinois State because of the Southern Illinois loss and their regular season. But they figured something out, and they have good coaching, and they have a great line, and they have a QB who can make plays. Okay? So, and a confident QB who can make plays. If he gets down by 20 points, he's not done. So I agree with you, and I hope that it's true that the Bobcats come out on top. But when you got a quarterback with moxie like that and a running back who can break off big plays, 10.5 is a lot of points. So here, if I do bet plus 10.5, I hope Bobcats are up 16 or 17 with 10 seconds left and the Redbirds score, and even if they didn't, I'd be happy. But
love
I'm just saying that I don't want that to happen if I'm a Bobcat fan, but I'm saying from a pure betting standpoint, that's why you take the 10.5. If you have to bet it, you never, like Warren Buffett says, you only have to bet on 1 out of 10 FCS games. I think that's the quote directly from Warren Buffett.
I'm sure Buffett's a avid follower of the FCS in his Omaha home.
Yeah, I'm picking 10.5 just because that's a lot of points for a very good team. Oh, there's that alarm. All right. All right.
So you got it.
I cannot miss my flight. I think we covered a lot. I probably talked too much, but that's not different from anything else. Whew.
No,
we're going to Nashville, baby.
Going to Nashville, so Parlay, travel safely. Enjoy your time there, and folks, hit like Parlay said, hit us up on Twitter as you get on the ground. If you want to meet up, that's what makes the national championship game so great. Is that so many fan bases come together, and folks that you've been watching on the internet and talking to on Twitter all season, you get to meet and hang out and have a drink in person. So Parlay, travel safely. Enjoy Music City, and appreciate everybody for hanging out with us all this postseason, talking 1AA parlays. We'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you to Parlay for all of his insights this postseason, and we'll see you, folks.
5 comments on this YouTube, and I'll bring a bottle of Malort to Nashville.
Bro, nobody wants Malort. Get that crap out of here. We'll see you, folks.